Gentlemen, ladies, and everything in between, welcome to the Fruity Cast. We're just gonna kind of start off with this today. We're gonna talk about some pro wrestling. Mostly pro wrestling that has happened within this week in terms of WWE, as well as the Bash in Berlin and No Mercy pay-per-views that happened last week. We're just gonna kind of go through those, and we will start out with talking about some AEW. Because while I don't plan on covering when I talk about pro wrestling, I don't really plan on covering AEW because I don't really watch it all that much, so I don't want to judge it that much, even though I did so last week. But I just had some problems with it as someone who was trying to keep a closer eye on it, because I have been a little bit more interested in some of the stuff going on. But here we have this. Hangman Adam Page burning down Swerve Strickland's childhood home ahead of their... Oh, it ends right before you get to see it? There we go. Yeah, he lit Swerve Strickland's childhood home on fire, which is insane. Some people have been speculating that it's a fake home. Even if that's the case, I don't honestly care. It's the thought that matters, and what they want you to believe is that this is the childhood home. Even I'm pretty sure it is. I think people have proven, but again, I don't really care. This is just awesome. This is just so cool. For a few that I never really cared for, I thought, some of the home invasion stuff last year during their feud was, pretty cool in terms of really building this blood feud in a big way by just having these two people who hate each other do disgusting things to one another. But this, I don't know, even for a feud where with both, I used to like Hangman Adam Page, then I feel like they really just gave up on him, with Punk beating him for the championship and him just slowly going down the card when it came to his prominence in the company. I think this is a good way to... This is really gonna cement him as a big bad. I don't know. I didn't exactly care for their hardcore match last year. To me, it was just I do like hardcore matches, but even then, there's a point where you can go so far that you'll lose me. But this definitely has me a lot more interested. But we'll see. If I feel at this point, if they just don't murder each other, where are they gonna go from here? I told a joke to my buddy. I was after this, if they don't have Drew McIntyre murder one of CM Punk's friends or something, then what are we doing? This is how you build a blood feud. But we'll get more into CM Punk and Drew McIntyre in a bit. But yeah, I also wanted to talk about All Out a little bit. There's just something that confuses me here. Why are there so many trios matches for the 0 hour? I just found that very funny. Also, I feel something that they really need to do is just not be afraid just to have, only a few matches on the card. It feels before these last few days, there were only really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel that would have been enough, especially for a show that is following All In, your biggest event of the year. It's okay to have a show with not that many not that many matches on it, instead of throwing together random ones like the Young Bucks versus the Blackpool Combat Club, or Kazuchika Okada with a Fatal 4-Way match. Or all these trios championship, all these trio matches during the pre-show. It just feels a bit much. And I feel they really should have just, I don't know, not do it. That's all I can really say. I think AEW just needs to do a little bit less, but then again, I don't really care. We're just gonna move on. I'm probably not gonna watch it, or I'll at least look up a few matches. I'll probably look up a Swerve versus Hangman, Ospreay versus Pac, Garcia versus MJF, but we'll see. Also, some other news. Odyssey Jones was removed from WWE TV when domestic violence allegations came to light. This comes from Fightful. We've not heard of an arrest or charges being pressed in reaction to the situation. We reached out to WWE for comment as well as clarification for his status. Talent has not been informed of the situation. Oof. So yeah, it seems like Odyssey Jones has found him in a sticky situation. Again, no police have been involved, but yeah, just wanted to cover this real quick. Absolutely disgusting. Like, imagine fucking finally being put on the main roster show after being drafted to that show for over a year, and just being discovered to be a piece of shit and getting removed from a big program you are a part of, or at least a mid-card program. But whatever, who cares about the logistics of it. Now let's move on to Bash in Berlin. I just had this card up right up here, and we'll just kind of talk about each of these matches and the fallout from it, since this is a week afterwards. First off, let's talk about Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. This was a really good match. It was really good. I think it might be, so far, my favorite match from Cody Rhodes' reign. It's either this or the AJ Styles match from Backlash, but I think this one might eke out. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy the if Kevin Owens would turn or not. I don't think they're gonna go further from this. I think we'll see them set up like Cody's next challenger probably 2 weeks from now, because next week he's facing Solo in a cage match, and Kevin Owens is having a feud with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, and he's going to have a mystery partner next week. Who knows, maybe that mystery partner will probably be the next challenger for Cody. Depends on who it is though, but we'll see. I don't know, there doesn't seem to be many big names out there to be the next in line for Cody Rhodes championship, but we'll just have to see. If I had it my way, I don't think I would run back the Kevin Owens story. I think I would kind of move on. Maybe give it to Randy Orton. Be like, oh, Randy, you didn't beat Gunther, but I'll give you a shot at my championship. Something like that. What else? We also have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Oh yeah, well, we might as well talk about the Bloodline story too. So, and Kevin Owens. So, Kevin Owens was in a triple threat match with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. It seems like they're going to have Austin turn sooner or later. We'll see how that goes. I don't know how Austin Theory as a face is going to turn out, but whatever. I think the crowd seems pretty involved in it, so we'll see. We also have Cody Rhodes when he was talking to Solo, because Solo said whether it's Kevin, whether it's Cody, I'm getting whoever walks out as champion. Cody essentially tried to bring a rift into the new bloodline by offering his title opportunity to Jacob Fatu instead. And it seemed like he could have taken it. I think we're going to see an explosion of this new bloodline way quicker than we did with the original. So we'll see. I could see WrestleMania there being Solo versus Fatu in a match instead of Solo versus Roman or whatever. But yeah, so we're already kind of seeing the division in the new bloodline. Solo and Cody are going to have a match next week in the steel cage match to try to avoid interference, but we'll see how well that goes. Roman more than likely is going to interfere in that match, and that will be his return, and that will set up a match between him and Solo for Bloodline, for Bad Blood, maybe even a triple threat match with Cody. We'll see. We also have Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill as your new WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, beating the Unholy Union. I don't know how I feel about this, because while I do really like Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, and I talked about this last week, well, I do really like them. I just really wish they would have kept the titles on Fire and Dawn, because I really do like that team, and I think Belair and Cargill kind of just need to split already. They need to get this feud in the way. I don't feel like this is something you can just stretch out to WrestleMania without it getting old real fast. But of course, we'll just have to see it from there. It doesn't seem like anything's come from this. I believe there was a number one contenders match, maybe? Well, no, I think there was a number one contenders match on Raw where the Unholy Union beat Damage Control So yeah, it seems like they're gonna get their title opportunity back, maybe win it back, and then we'll see the turn. I don't know. If that was the case, and if that's the case, then like why even do it? But we'll see. We also have CM Punk defeating Drew McIntyre in a strap match. Now this wasn't like a strap match like Daniel Bryanson, Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt or Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks. This was more like they were strapped together, but then they had to win the match by touching four corners in a associated period of time before it reset. This one was weird because I don't know how I feel about the four corners stipulation. Because like, I don't think it really helped the ending of it. Like the match through and through was all right. Like it was a pretty good match. What am I getting? It was a really good match. It was a really good match. But to me, why I would bring it down to a pretty good match is because like during the ending sequence when CM Punk was just giving him GTSs before touching the corners, it was just kind of like, it felt like it was taking too long. Like there was a point in time where CM Punk during the final stretch was like hanging onto the ropes, trying to like claw his way there, but he was just like obviously just trying to slow himself down to build the tension. But like it just, I don't know, it didn't feel like it was there for me. I don't know, but we'll see where this goes. More than likely, this will lead to a Hell in a Cell match. Now, after Bash in Berlin, CM Punk said he was like, "I'm done with Drew. I'm moving on to Gunther. I want the World Heavyweight Championship." But Drew McIntyre attacked him on Raw the following day, well, following 2 days, whatever. And they're obviously gonna go for the third. I think the obvious choice is just go Hell in a Cell, but we'll see. But again, like what I was talking about with Adam Page and Swerve Strickland, I feel like they do need to do a little bit more with this feud if you're gonna continue it for a third. Like really, like get a bit more personal with it. Like yeah, you had the bracelet, which Drew McIntyre did break on this episode of Raw. Speaking of the last episode of Raw, they introduced a new announcer, not a new announcer, a new commentator. And a lot of people were speculating whether it was going to be a good fit because it wasn't someone who was like really, I forget what the guy's name is, sorry, but it wasn't someone who was like had any history with like pro wrestling or at least like commentating pro wrestling. And when you heard him during this episode, you could tell that like he was still very new, but he didn't seem out of place. It seemed like they really prepped him instead of just throwing him into the wolves. But also, he just has a really good voice for wrestling. Like when Drew McIntyre attacked CM Punk was like on the announce table, and then Drew McIntyre ripped his feet out from under him while wearing a black hoodie with a hood up. And instead of being like, "Oh my God, who is this?" the guy was just like, "Oh my God, that's Drew McIntyre in a hoodie." Like he's just not going for the tropes. He's just doing whatever. But I think he's doing it well, just for like the first day he was out there. So we'll see. But yeah, this feud's gonna be interesting. I think they should get a little bit more personal. Again, the bracelet's been broken. I mean, how more serious can it get from that? But we'll see. Then we have the Terror Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, versus the Judgment Day, Dirty Dom and Liv Morgan, where they beat them. This was a really good match, just through and through, just really fun. In all honesty, especially when Rhea got her hands on Dom. But this was just, it was just fun. I don't know where they're gonna take this from here. The Raw after this, like the latest Raw, Rhea kind of got injured. It's definitely kayfabe, but her foot got tied in the ropes, so now she's injured with a foot. And Damian Priest teamed up with Jey Uso to take on Finn Balor and JD McDonough, who are the tag team champs. So, like they could have just had it be like it's Dom and Carlito. Like that's the secondary team. But I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with the world heavyweight, like with the world tag team champions. Just can they please just get them off them and have it be like somewhere else? Like put it with like the New Day feud or the American Made Wyatt Six feud that's going on. Like just put it on someone else who's like actually doing something and you can do something with those titles. Then for the main event of Bash in Berlin, we had Gunther versus Randy Orton. Gunther beating Randy Orton. This was just great. This was great from beginning, even before the match. This was great because Samantha Irving was giving the, and was doing her job announcing the participants. But then when she got to Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser's hand just came into frame, and he gave the announcement because I don't believe he was part of the entrance with Gunther. He came in through the crowd and was like, "Let me do it." This was just really fun. It was just such a great match. What my favorite part of it was there was a part where the steel steps were next to one of the announce tables, and Randy Orton did that back body drop on Gunther while he was on top of the steel steps through the table. It was just so cool. This was just such a good match. It seems like Sami Zayn is going to be his next opponent for it. And the way that I've heard some people talk about it, it makes perfect sense what they're trying to do with Randy Orton as his first challenger for the title. They're basically trying to get rid of any doubt of who will beat him, because with Randy Orton, when Gunther beat him at King of the Ring to get this title opportunity for the World Heavyweight Championship, Randy's shoulders weren't all the way down, but they still counted as a win. So it was kind of like, oh, we're fixing our mistake. Now Gunther has beat him. Now it's official. There's no doubt that Randy Orton, that Gunther isn't a legitimate champion because he got that opportunity in an illegitimate way. And then with Sami Zayn, it was, well, Sami Zayn is the last person to ever pin Gunther. So him beating Sami Zayn and their upcoming match, probably at Bad Blood, will, scratch that from the record. There's no doubt that Sami Zayn is going to beat him for that title soon. So we'll see. And I've heard some people complaining because, people have been embracing the Sami storyline, but it's also the same people who are upset about the Jack Perry storyline going on with Bryan Danielson, of being like, oh god, why is Jack Perry feuding with Bryan Danielson? Why is he getting a world title opportunity? And some people defending it have been like, well, Jack Perry was the last person to pin him, and that's the story there. And why are people complaining about this when the same thing's happening with Sami? Oh, you guys just, it only is a preference thing. You just hate Jack Perry and you just like Sami Zayn. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, yes, people are gonna be biased towards people that they like and people that they just don't care for. And a lot of people just don't care for Jack Perry. I'm gonna be honest, does anyone really care about Jack Perry? That's what I'm gonna ask. That's my question. Does anyone really give a fuck about Jack Perry outside of him being a pretty good wrestler who got choked out by CM Punk? Jack Perry to me feels like a perfect example of something that is really forced with AEW and their programming. And WWE definitely has that too when it comes to forcing a part of their program that not a lot of people really care about. Honestly, I don't really care about the Austin Theory, Grayson Waller feud. I don't. I think Theory works better as a heel. I don't know why they're trying to do this face turn with him, but we'll see. Where that goes. Again, it seems like the audience might care about it. I don't know. I don't really see it. But that's something with WWE. Jack Perry to me definitely feels like he's just forced there because they know that it will get, it'll get buzz because he's the guy who got choked by CM Punk, and the Young Bucks don't like Punk, and they're just gonna help out there. I don't care. I don't care for this. It just sucks. I don't care for him. So yes, it is biased. Also, when I'm saying people who like the Sami Zayn storyline, I'm not even big on the Sami Zayn storyline either because he just lost his title. I feel like if they want to do this, and of course they should do this, if they want to do this whole, checking off the boxes, making it so Gunther, kind of clears his history a bit. Of being oh, all these people who I beat technically or beat me, I get the win over them, and that will cement my reign. In a way. Or at least that's the meta text of it. I like that more than what they're doing. It has a deeper meaning, I feel with what Gunther is doing with his reign. But even then, yeah, I do think Sami Zayn should, have a pretty big win before going into this match. And also, Jack Perry's already a champion. Like him going so hard, being like, no, I'm going after the world championship, it makes the mid card championship look less than. It's the same problem with like Logan Paul. When he went against Cody Rhodes, it makes the title you are holding feel like it's way less important, because instead of just working on defending that and having a long reign, you're going after something because you know it is a bigger title. And obviously everyone knows that, but like it, you shouldn't have your audience like, you shouldn't put it in your audience face that this is a lesser title than the world title. But whatever. It's the same problem that I had with like the Osprey Swerve Strickland match too. But yeah, that's about it. There was some other stuff that happened on the show. American Made defeated the Alpha Academy in a mixed tag team match. Next week, American Made is gonna face the Wyatt Six in a mixed street fight. That'll be fun. The Pure Fusion Ultra Lords. I forget what their fucking what their faction name is, but Shayna Baszler defeated Zelina Vega, and I believe Lyra Valkyria came out to help Vega afterwards. So it seems like Vega and Valkyria are gonna team up to take on this new faction. Maybe Natalia's gonna return there, and they'll do like a 6-woman match at some point. I don't know. There was also there were two intercontinental title #1 contenders matches that were in triple threats. The first one was Ilya Dragunov versus Dominic Mysterio versus Dragon Lee. Now, during this match, Dom got scared off by Priest, I believe, and it mostly just ended up being a Dragunov versus Dragon Lee match. It was really fun. Dragunov won. I don't see him winning the Fatal 4-Way next week, but we'll see. Also, apparently Bronson Reed has COVID, so he wasn't able to participate in the other triple threat match, which was supposed to be him, Kaiser, and Sheamus. So Braun Strowman took his spot, and he won the match. More than likely, Bronson Reed is going to cost him the match next week if he is able to, be cleared by then. So next week, there's going to be a Fatal 4-Way between Ilya Dragunov, Braun Strowman, Jey Uso, and Pete Dunne. The way that I see that going is more than likely Jey Uso is going to win. Sheamus will cost Pete Dunne. Bronson Reed will cost Braun Strowman. Ilya Dragunov will probably just take the pin. Or, I don't know. Maybe they might, because in terms of like the backstage segments, Jey Uso and Braun Breaker have been interacting somewhat. Like last week, Braun Breaker was like, oh Jey, there has been 0 members of your family who have ever beat mine. And obviously that's, setting up. And then he had a face-to-face like this week. So obviously it's going to be Jey. I feel like that might be a misdirect, because I could see Judgment Day costing him the match too. Maybe Ilya Dragunov sneaks the win. Maybe Braun Strowman sneaks the win if Bronson Reed isn't able to come back next week. But we'll see. Because like... in all honesty, who's gonna stop Bronson Reed in this lineup? Maybe Ilya Dragunov. I can see that. I would love to see that little matchup, Braun Strowman versus Ilya Dragunov. That would be fun. But yeah, that was it for Raw. We might as well move on to NXT, but we'll look at SmackDown real quick. Bayley ended up returning last week after Nia Jax beat Mia Yim in a street fight for the WWE Women's Championship. She returned in-ring this week, beating Tiffany Stratton. So more than likely, she's going to go after her, rematch, try to get the championship back. Apollo Crews defeated Giovanni Vinci in his debut match on SmackDown in 4 seconds. Or his re-debut, whatever. Apparently people backstage are not happy with this, and I can understand why. He was seen as the weak link in Imperium. He got kicked out of the group, he got moved to another show, and then he lost his match in 4 seconds. And he also did not have, a lot of his gimmick from NXT when he went solo there with him. We'll see where this goes. There was the triple threat I mentioned. Chelsea Green defeated Michin. I wonder where that goes. And then, so this week they promoted it last week, but there was going to be a triple threat tag team match between Tama Tonga and Tongaloa versus DIY and the Street Profits, and a triple threat tag team match for the tag team titles. That just didn't happen. Instead, I believe last minute they switched it to like an 8-man tag team match between the Bloodline, DIY, and the Street Profits. I don't know why they did this, because Collision was happening at the same time, and they had a big 8-man tag team match to end that too. Did they change it because of that? It's a little weird. Like, why would you do that? Like, just keep the triple threat tag team match. Who cares? But I don't know. Maybe they're planning on dragging out this tag team feud between the 3 teams. What else? Yeah, so let's talk about NXT No Mercy. Let me get a drink real quick. I still want to feel my throat start to dry up. God, there's... Okay. So with NXT No Mercy, this was a really fun pay-per-view. We're just going to go throughout the matches. Axiom and Nathan Frazier regained the NXT Tag Team Championships by beating Andre Chase and Ridge Holland of Chase U. This was a really fun match. It was just non-stop action from start to end. I really thought Chase U was going to pull the dub here, because I was like, there's no way they're going to have Chase U have a very short reign once again. And I was wrong. You know, we Chase U fans, we get nothing. We get absolutely nothing, and we just gotta take it. But, you know, Axiom and Nathan Frazier are tag team champions again. They're going to be facing the Rascals next week in a tag team match. More than likely, Wesley's going to cost them, but we'll talk about that later. After the match, Ridge Holland turned on all the Chase U. I honestly thought it was going to be more like a Civil War type thing, where like Riley was going to side with Ridge, and then Duke. I mean, they still could do that. But he ended up turning on all Chase U, and he had a great promo on the recent NXT episode, where he was just like, I was looking. It was great. I just can't remember it that well. Where it was more like, I was looking to get back on my feet, and I thought Chase U was going to help me. I thought I was going to be champion once again, and I did. But then we lost. Like, you failed. You failed, Andre Chase, and I'm going to burn Chase U to the ground. And he's doing that by facing Duke Hudson next week, which should be a good match, I'm going to be honest. I think Duke Hudson is very underrated. But we'll see that. We'll see where that goes. There was also Zachary Wentz versus Wesley. I did not think this was going to be as good as it was, but it was just so good. Also, going back to the Chase U tag team match and the aftermath of that, I was watching this live, and when Ridge Holland gave Andre Chase a DDT on the announce table, you could tell that while Ridge was standing on it, it was very wobbly. And I literally said while I was live streaming it, I was like, doing like a live reaction to it, I was like, that thing's going to collapse. Like, that thing just is going to collapse. They should hopefully reinforce it. And then when you watch the Zachary Wentz Wesley fight, that match, they obviously didn't, because there was a point where Zachary Wentz leaned back on the table because they wanted to do a table spot with Wes giving him like a splash or something. And without any impact from Wes, the table just collapsed. And luckily they were able to act on their feet with it, and Wes just, did the move like he was planning on to, but like while he was just laying on the ground. It was insane. This was such a great match. I was surprised that Zachary Wentz won. But we'll see. I mean, this was just a fun match through and through. Trey Miguel came out at the end and helped Wentz win the match. Again, I think Wesley is going to cost them their title opportunity, like their title match next week against Axiom and Frazier, since they won a number 1 contenders match this latest NXT, where they faced off against Hank and Tank and Gallus. I forget who cost Gallus the match. I believe it was Javon Evans, who faced Joe Coffey afterwards. And Hank and Tank got their match cost by the Good Brothers, so it seems like the OC and Hank and Tank are gonna have a feud, or happen. I haven't really been paying attention to what Hank and Tank have been doing. They're not a bad tag team. I just don't care about them. Anyways, to the next match, Kalani Jordan versus Wendy Choo. This was pretty good. The only bad part about it was I feel like it was a bit too long for what it needed to be. I feel like they could have cut like a minute or two off the match, because I feel like there are some parts of it that just kind of dragged on, even though it's the shortest match out of all of this. Like, out of this entire card, it's the shortest match. I don't know. It was a good match. I just think they could have shaved some stuff off. I mean, but I could also say that about like the Zachary Wentz Wesley match too. So, it's not that big of a problem. Only downside was when there was a bit of a botch on the top rope in the corner, but that was about it. Didn't really matter. I think they kind of, worked around it pretty good. And after the match, after Kalani Jordan beat Wendy Choo was attacked by Tatum Paxley. This led into the latest episode of NXT, where Tatum Paxley defeated Rosemary, who seems to be Wendy Choo's new partner, I guess. It also like on the latest episode of like TNA Impact, apparently Wendy Choo is gonna go after Jordynne Grace, so we'll see where that goes. Jordynne Grace is going to be on NXT like the next one with an open challenge for her title, so maybe Wendy Choo is saying like, hey, I'm the next one up. But yeah, after Tatum Paxley beat Rosemary, Valkyria came back, so it seems like they're gonna have like a tag team match with Rosemary and Wendy Choo. We'll see where that goes. Then we had Obafemi versus Tony D'Angelo, which they already seem to be running back because it seems like they're gonna continue this feud more. Maybe with D'Angelo beating him at the end, we'll see. That's what my hope was, because I was like, Obafemi is ready for the main event spotlight. Tony, I believe, should already be North American champion, or at least like NXT champion. We'll see where this goes. This match, though, was incredible. It was incredible. Tony D'Angelo is officially the first person to kick out of Obafemi's powerbomb, which was just nuts. Like, just, again, from, when the first bell rang to when the match ended, this was just so fucking good. Probably, in my opinion, match of the night. By far. I would definitely say it was better than this tag team match, for sure. Then we had Roxanne Perez versus Jada Parker. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I did not give Jada Parker enough credit going into this match, but she just blew it away. Roxanne Perez also just did amazing. It was just so good. Just so good through and through. Just such a fun match. Jada Parker has a huge future ahead of her. And we'll just see where this goes from here. After the match, Julia finally made her debut. And then we got to see her officially on NXT. And it seems like, it's confirmed that her and Perez are going to have a match on the first episode of NXT when they go to the CW. And that will be for the title. They'll have a match there. But it seems like Chelsea Green is getting herself involved with the feud. So maybe that will be like Julia's first official match on NXT. Will be her versus Julia. I also some people being like trying to hate on Julia, because when it came to her attacking Chelsea Green and giving her that knee, like her signature knee attack, whatever, Julia, like the camera angle wasn't great, so it looked like it looked a lot weaker than it did when you saw it at other angles. But yeah, it was just so dumb how people were reacting to that. And then for the main event, we had Ethan Page being Joe Hendry for the NXT Championship with Trick Williams as special guest referee. I feel like this might have been the weakest match out of the entire card, in all honesty, but still, it was a fun match. Like, through and through, there wasn't like a bad match on this card. I just don't think this one was as great as the rest of them. But still, it was a fun match. The shenanigans with Trick just worked really well, while also making him still, a face, instead of just someone who was screwing over Joe Hendry. Like, he never screwed over Joe Hendry by any means. But he kind of did by negligence, by not knowing about it, because like there was ref bums and low blows, shit like that. And there seemed, I don't know, to me there felt like there should have been a bigger surprise at the end of this, but all it was just Pete Dunne attacking Trick Williams. Like, I feel like this should have just been the semi-main event, and then have Roxanne Perez and Jada Parker as the main event, with Julia coming out at the end. If you want to like really end off the pay-per-view with this big bad way, instead of just Pete Dunne attacking Trick Williams near the announce tables, where not a lot of people could see. I don't know. It was a weird way to end it, but still, they also could have ended it with like Josh Alexander coming in and, you know, building a feud between him and Ethan Page, or maybe having him and Ethan Page reunite, because they used to be a tag team in TNA as the North, and be like, oh, Ethan Page brought in Josh Alexander, and you could have like him attack Trick and be like, oh, we're forming an alliance, you know, protecting one another. That would be fun. But yeah, that was about it. There was other stuff on NXT too. Alexis King beat Oro Mensa, but who cares? Like, who cares? Jada Parker defeat Jasmine Nix with this whole, what is it, Fatal Attraction? I believe that's what they're calling themselves. Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. But yeah, that's about it. That's about all my reactions to what's been going on in wrestling. But I'm just gonna end it here with this like fire ass picture. Jesus.